Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the FrogData panel. And Ted, this is an incredible topic and a really important one in our industry.
Sarah, you're exactly right. We're really honored to have Joe Mins with us. We'll be talking today about the Fixed Ops Mojo product. Joe, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted, Sarah. I'm glad to be here. Excited about the product.
Yeah, you work with a lot of dealers, and Sarah, this is really timely. This discussion, especially now here in the fourth quarter, because a lot of dealers are making their plans not just for now, Sarah, but for next year as well.
It's very true, Ted. And really, Joe, just to set the stage and jump right into it, a lot of dealers are thinking about strategies for their fixed ops departments and for the dealership in general. What is FrogData and what is Fixed Ops Mojo?
So FrogData's been leaders in the decision analytics for quite some time now. We launched Fixed Ops Mojo back in 2024. It's a performance management platform specifically designed for automotive fixed operations departments. We combine powerful data analytics software with expert coaching to simplify, maximize fixed operations profitability.
And Joe, you really help the dealers focus on what they do best. All right, because a lot of times the analytics, the numbers, they're focused on what's happening out in the shop and what's happening throughout the service department and the parts department. So this is really a very, very needed thing, especially at this time.
It's important because service managers, parts managers, fixed ops directors don't have enough time in a day. They have responsibilities all over the dealership, from handling the workflow, customers, to fixing sales managers' computers to a problem in the parts area, or shipping and receiving, or somebody hit a light pole outside with a customer's car. So anything that you come up with needs to be time saving, efficiency granting, so that it really gives them more time back in their day. And that's how Mojo is designed and built.
Joe, give us a little bit of background. What's your background as well, and a little bit about the company, if you don't mind.
Well, a little about me. I've been laughed at numerous times. I turned down a 4-year scholarship to an Ivy League school so that I could sweep floors inside a car dealership, because I love cars and I wanted to be in the car dealership. And the gentleman who hired me laughed at me, said I was too young to be a technician, and that he would hire me to sweep the floor till I was old enough. Here I am 35 years later. I've worked for 5 different dealer groups. I've had as many as 33 different stores with 1,700 employees. I've handled single point stores. I love fixed ops. I've been in fixed ops my whole life. I'll probably never leave fixed ops until I go. FrogData and its parent company ISMO have been around since the 90s. ISMO is more digital content, CGI, pictures, imagery, marketing. FrogData is more fixed op centric, with data analytics to cover all departments. And we've been excited with some of the new products that have come out, and we have some really, really time saving new ones coming out very shortly. They'll really benefit dealerships and time savings with identifying exactly what they need to do and when they need to do it.
And Joe, a lot of our dealers that are listening to this today, you touched on performance management and all the data that goes into just analyzing what happens in your business day in and day out with your employees, with all of these repair orders. It's challenging sometimes. So why is this so important for dealers to be looking at it at this time?
Well, with traffic down, sales, vehicles, everybody's kind of leaning towards fixed ops to carry the dealerships now, show profits, pay the bills. And of course, just what your average fixed ops department needs is a little bit more pressure to go on them. And so it's important, staffing since COVID, and beyond, staffing issues, you know, profitability suffered for many different reasons over the last few years. And a lot of it is the inability to be able to focus on exactly what they need to do and when they need to do it. And Mojo is designed so that the 10% of items you can look at can create the 90% of profit that you can keep. And it's minimizing, it's hyper focused on exactly what you need to look at, when you need to look at it, and how to affect change and behavior within the dealership quickly and efficiently without consuming time, and actually saving time looking through DMS reports and looking through KPIs that are often misunderstood.
And Joe, you're so right. That's the analytical part of the business, and it's tough to keep managers focused there, as well as what's going on out on in the real world as well. Tell us a little bit more, because we know there's things like op codes which are underutilized, and you come in and you analyze all of this because you work with so many dealers. Tell us some of the things that you look for when you get started with the dealership.
So I always try to find all the early quick wins as soon as I walk into the dealership. And my record was finding a dealership a little over $60,000 in the first hour I was there. And it's a matter of looking at the different DMS settings. It's a matter of looking at op codes, menus, everything, how that dealership operates. Each dealership that we go into is completely different. Everything is designed around that dealership. How we operate, what we look for, is custom to every single dealership. And quick funny story for you, I actually did a very large dealer group out in the Midwest, and they brought 3 Ford stores in with them, and we were overhauling their entire menu and offerings. Because the standard problem of your average tech has the 5 services he likes to recommend, and your advisors got their 5 they like to recommend, and everybody forgets the other 60 that are in the owner's manual. So we were redesigning their entire Ford maintenance menu, and when we were all done, we came out with 3 different menus. This was the same group, the same people in the same room, and we still left with 3 different menus for them, because we catered a little bit. One had Lincoln, so he wanted to change some of his structure a little bit. And so you have to handle every dealership like it's different. And with my experience in the business, having worked with big groups, it's much different to have a Stellantis store in Boonville, New York, and a Honda store in Bakersfield, California. They're very different. So you have to be able to cater everything you do to that specific dealership.
And Joe, it's really fascinating to hear that it's so customizable, because a lot of dealerships thinking about some of these strategies that they could implement, and the data part can be a little bit overwhelming. But we were talking in the green room about some of the opportunities that are available for dealerships if they look at this data, if they're figuring out some of these pieces with you. How do you take the data and really translate it into a long-term plan that's going to make a difference at dealerships?
So here's a good example. When we do a menu for a dealership, we look at everything from how much they pay their techs to how much they charge the customer to their parts markups to every single thing that they do. We do full market research on those, and we have a formula that we put together. So a dealership, think about how an average service manager prices their service. Maybe he makes a couple phone calls down the road. He does an internet search online. And in the end, he's either emotion or gut feeling a price, and he's just coming up with it. We take all of that out and we put the math in. We look at the service menu the same way an owner would expect a used car manager handles his inventory. How much do I have into it? What can I market up? And what's my profit margins when it's all said and done? Nobody has ever looked at service as a whole like that. So, a good story. I was doing a menu for a huge Toyota store, and they're very proud. 80% of everything they did was maintenance. When we dug into it, what we found was their third most common service, 300 of them a month, was a ELR of $65 an hour, and their average tech cost was $42. So they were wasting 450 shop hours a month to get $23 an hour. It didn't make sense. So when you take all of that emotion and gut feeling out of it and you start looking at the math, you really get to dial into where you're winning and where you're losing. We always look for where's the next $2,000 RO or where's the next $500 service. We look down to the dollars. If an oil change can move up $1.50, $2, and you do 1,500 of them a month, that's a lot of money. Do that across 60 different services for any one franchise, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Or maybe you have a great service that's very profitable and you aren't selling it because you're too expensive for all of your customers. So could be great and everybody could be happy with it, but if you only sell one of them a month, it's really not helping you a whole lot. So it's really fine-tuning exactly where you can and where you should be handling maintenance. And when it comes to repair, if your maintenance is in line, no customer's ever walked into a service department and said, "What's your door rate?" They want to know how much a brake job is, how much an oil change is, how much is a transmission service. If you find a broken water pump, then you give them a quote as to what it is. So everybody's very concerned about, the prices or door rates or whichever, when in reality, you really look at what's my average tech cost? Where do I need to be profitable for this dealership? What's my work mix? What's my what's my strategy between customer warranty and internal, and really catering the entire operational performance so that you maximize profitability without chasing anybody away. That's the really important part of it.
And Joe, historically, dealers have not been good with this pricing element because there's so many factors at work right now. There's been a lot of inflation in the industry, techs, all the things that you alluded to, door rates, warranty rates, what the manufacturer will allow. Are we taking advantage of everything that we possibly could? Plus our competitors as well. And what are they charging? Not just other OEMs, but the aftermarket. So, Joe, you really provide a unique service to the dealer with your expertise to help them, if you will, fine tune the dollar amounts to make sure, like you said with the example, that they're making the most with their services and they're not undercharging where they're overperforming.
Correct, and that's like a first step in.
Yeah.
The next step is you have to get the next step in is you have to get service advisors and the entire team all of the tools they need to do their job the way you want them to, the way you think they're doing. Giving them access to change pricing is necessary if they don't have the right payment types, the right labor types, the right set of labor op codes. I found one dealership that was trying to tighten the range by removing access to change pricing from service advisors, except that it only took them about a week to figure out that if I create a new labor op every time I need a custom price, it never shows up as a discount. It never shows up anywhere because it's a properly programmed labor op. It's just custom pricing. That dealership had over 9,000 dealer-defined labor ops in their system, when really they should have 300, maybe 400 tops in their system. Service advisors are very creative when they have a problem in front of them and they have to solve it, and they will solve it. So it's a matter of giving them the tools they need to do the job the way you want it done, and then turning off the abilities to take off roads. And then Mojo provides the guardrails to see if anybody steps off of the path that you're looking for. If your ELR on your alignment is $140 and Mojo flags it for saying, "Why do you have a $73 ELR on this RO?" now I'm giving them the direct target of somebody deviating from what their plan is. You know, we operate most service departments now with hoping everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and nobody would do this, and nobody would discount this. But it happens every day in almost every dealership out there. And it's a matter of controlling it. The first problem is not the employees. The first problem is them having all of the different tools and settings and functions to do it the way you want them to do it. Otherwise, they're in survival mode and they're just trying to accomplish an impossible task without having all of the right tools and settings.
Joe, it's really fascinating to hear, really the oversight that is available with FrogData and Fixed Ops Mojo. I'm curious because I'm sure, as you mentioned, service directors, service managers looking at all of these pieces, they're wondering as we're having this conversation, at the end of the day, how ultimately do I use this software? How do I use this platform? In my day-to-day functions, am I getting, a report that's getting sent to me? Am I able to log into a dashboard? Could you talk to us a little bit about just how a dealer, in their day-to-day life would be, in the system and using it?
Sure. I'm glad you asked. I was one of those fixed operations directors that would come in 2 or 3 hours early trying to get my entire day's worth of work done before the 8 o'clock bell went off, and then who knows what's going to happen for the rest of the day. So Mojo was designed so that management doesn't have to come in early. They come in 15 minutes before the door opens, they grab a cup of coffee, they sit down, they log into the Mojo dashboard, and it tells them everything that's happened over the last couple of days and exactly what to go and inspect and why to inspect it. So if I have an error, if I have a part misbilled, if I have a labor op that got modified or the sale price that got changed, Mojo's going to call it out and say, you need to look at these repair orders. This is why. Look at these. And we have it built under 6 different primary categories that we look at, from work in process to labor gross to parts gross to effective labor rate, discounts, even advisor performance. And it's kind of like eating an elephant one bite at a time. I can tell you to go through your 200 open RO work in process, but we all know in reality that's not going to happen today. I'm going to get through 15 of them. Somebody's going to bang on my door and then I've got to leave. So if I give you 15 minutes worth of, let me see what I've got to check from yesterday. And the interesting byproduct is when you're doing that, your employees know that you're going to get it flagged every day. So they stop doing this stuff. So, I mean, it's its own built-in accountability. It's funny. We actually had a service advisor. We asked him how he liked Mojo, and he said, "You mean Fixed Ops Tattletale?" Because it tells on every foolish thing that happens, mistakes, system settings, or employees. And then for upper management, we have what we call the executive summary, which is a summary of every repair order that was highlighted with a problem for today. So every morning, I always called it a general manager cheat sheet. He opens up his cheat sheet and he knows exactly which ones to call back and ask about. What happened on this RO? What happened on this RO? And the idea is, if a problem happened yesterday and you find it and fix it today, it doesn't happen again tomorrow. And if you do that all month long, then the end of your month looks much better than the beginning of your month. Whereas typically in a lot of dealerships, it's the end of the month comes after, we've been crazy all month. We run all the reports and see how we did. This kind of gives you immediate access to change how you're doing so that at the end of the month, you know what's going on. You've checked stuff all month long. You've stopped 12 different problems along the way, and things got better each month. And we've had dealerships that have gotten, my top is 58% overall ELR improvement just watching the ELR ROs every day and questioning what happened, finding errors, and fixing them. In addition to both of those, the management executive summary and the dashboards, we send out daily alerts where we'll find any repair orders that have more than a 20% deviation from what our targets are. and we will send an alert each day saying you need to check these ROs. You lost $950 yesterday on these 3 ROs. You lost, and it brings it real to them. They know if I didn't have these 3 problems yesterday, I would be $950 ahead. And that's only 3 ROs of the up to 50 that we could be showing you what's there, where the problems are.
Joe, we've heard great things from our dealers about FrogData. You help hold people accountable. You help general managers look at what they need to be looking at so they become more efficient. You point out things to them that they may or may not be aware of. So congratulations to you on that. And you help a lot of dealers become more profitable and efficient. Joe, for our audience who may have heard about FrogData and is interested in this, okay, and who wouldn't be, let's face it. Joe, what's the next step? How do dealers find out more? Can they ask you questions? Can they reach out to you? How do they get involved and how do they learn more?
Certainly, frogdata.com. There's an inquiry page there. I don't know if it's appropriate. My cell phone number, I mean, I'll certainly give my cell phone number, 315-507-1324. Chris Dula is the vice president. He can certainly take a call or an email. I don't know how specifically to answer that question appropriately.
Okay, let's come back to that. We're going to cut it there at 22:25. I'm going to say to you, Joe, how does our audience learn more? So I would stick with the stuff that's on the screen at the bottom. You can add the phone number, but I would have them contact you since you're the one that they've been hearing from now. So, all right.
Okay.
So, Joe, if our audience wants to learn more about FrogData, take the next step, perhaps they have some questions, what's the best way for them to reach out?
You can certainly email me at joseph.mins, MINNS, at frogdata.com. You could also email Chris Dula at chris.dulla at frogdata.com. He's the vice president. We'd be more than happy to discuss any opportunities, any help you may need. And again, we customize everything we do for each individual dealership we work with.
All right. Joe, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, I want to wish you and the FrogData family a happy Thanksgiving next week. And thanks for all you do for the industry.
Thank you very much, Ted and Sarah. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Everybody reach out for more information on FrogData, Fixed Ops Mojo, Joe Mins, who's with us here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. His email is scrolling at the bottom of the screen as well. Everybody, FrogData, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.